Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan have established themselves as WWE's resident power couple, which has led me to believe that they could just be the modern day version of the rated R superstar Edge and Lita from back in 2006. But if you're new around here, my name is Ketch and I make weekly professional wrestling content, so please make sure to give this video a like and a subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Kicking off with a recap of the most recent episode of Raw, it saw Dominik Mysterio taking on Damian Priest, which ended in disqualification when the new Judgment Day became involved. Although Priest and Rhea Ripley did have the upper hand for a period of time, they were severely outnumbered by the rest of the Judgment Day, with Liv taking out Rhea with a steel chair and the men beating down on Damian Priest, with JD, Finn Balor and Carlito leading the charge, and Dominik Mysterio hitting a frog splash from the top rope, leaving the Terror Twins in a heap on the floor. Now this beatdown made the new Judgment Day look very strong, and given that Liv and Dominik have this mixed tag team match coming up against Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley in the forthcoming weeks at Bash in Berlin, it's made them have all this momentum, and they're going to look really strong going into that event. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I do think that Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan are the modern day version of Edge and Lita, and there's a lot of similarities that Dom and Liv have that resemble what Edge and Lita did back in the day in WWE in the years from about 2005 to about 2007. Both Lita and Liv have been respective world champions of the women's division. Obviously Liv Morgan is the current women's world champion, but Lita also held the WWE women's championship while she was in her on-screen relationship with Edge, similar to how Liv is with Dom at the moment. There's also similarities between Dom and Edge, especially because when Edge was with Lita at that point in time, he was yet to win his first world championship, but he was Mr. Money in the Bank at the time, winning that briefcase at WrestleMania 21, I believe it was, and going on to successfully cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase against John Cena at New Year's Revolution in 2006. Now, this is where my thinking is going. I think Dominik Mysterio will be a contender for the 2025 Money in the Bank ladder match, because WWE and Raw are moving to Netflix in January of 2025, which I mentioned in my previous video. So I think one of the big decisions WWE are going to do is have Dominik Mysterio win that 2025 Money in the Bank briefcase and then cash in on whoever is the world champion. Most likely could be still either Gunther or Cody Rhodes, depending on the way the direction of creative in WWE, but he could cash in on either one of them. And given, maybe he might even do it on Cody Rhodes, and given the fact that Cody Rhodes is such a beloved babyface at the moment, Dominik Mysterio already has such natural heat at the moment. The crowd just absolutely can't stand him or Liv Morgan at this point either, similar to how Edge and Lita were received back in the day. And because of this, I think, you know, the crowd's hating Dominik so much they will need to put a championship on him, because there's nothing a crowd loves seeing more than a cocky heel get their comeuppance. And I think Dominik plays his role so well that he's been able to successfully portray a character on television that's not necessarily seen in his personal life. So what I mean by the fact that Dominik has been able to sort of keep his personal life different from what is shown on WWE television is on an episode, the most recent episode of Logan Paul's Impulsive, Dominik Mysterio was the latest guest, and Logan and Mike Malik, his co-host, were going over, you know, how Dominik's been involved with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan on TV recently. It's sort of like a love square, I think is what Mike called it, and they were like, how do you sort of distinguish between you know what happens on TV and what happens in real life? And Dominik sort of summed it up pretty well. He was like, well, we know the episode where Rhea licked my face. Well, the first text I got from my wife was that there was a tarantula in the garage, which I think is pretty funny and quite unique in the fact that Dom's wife is just so okay with what happens on TV, because she knows the distinguish between, you know, Dominik Mysterio on TV but also her husband Dominik. So I think Dom's been really good at being able to portray such a really cocky, arrogant, heelish character on TV, but at the same time being able to separate that from his personal life. I think if you look at the comparisons on TV between Dom and Liv and Edge and Lita, there are some unique comparisons to how both couples reacted on television. Like Dom and Liv, they know how to work a crowd up, similar to how Edge and Lita did. But I think the difference between Edge and Dom's characters is, at the time, Edge was portraying a very edgy sort of character, pun intended, and he was going towards a more rated R sort of era, whereas Dom is sort of still leaning into this, almost like he's like a boyish sort of heel character, but the whole idea of him aligning with Liv is now Liv has made him a man. You know, he's finally been able to beat his dad, and he's finally been able to do more things with Liv than he could with Rhea Ripley, whereas Edge on the other hand was always someone dangerous and one you had to keep your eye on, but his association with Lita and their real life beef with Matt Hardy, which was sparked by the fact that Edge and Lita had slept together when Lita was in a relationship with Matt Hardy, sort of really gave the people the hatred towards Edge that had deserved, and that storyline was actually translated onto television as well, and it led to probably one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time between Edge and Matt Hardy. Now obviously Dominik doesn't have those issues off camera, but you know, with him being paired up with Liv Morgan, she's had some off-screen transgressions, which I will not mention here. You can look them up yourselves, but you know, it's that similarity between both couples that, you know, they're sort of portrayal on screen has really made me think that Dom and Liv Morgan could be the modern day Edge and Lita. I guess time will tell, but as I mentioned earlier, with Raw moving to Netflix, I think Netflix officials are going to give them a lot more leeway. They give WWE a lot more leeway, so expect Liv and Dom to really take that up a level. I think their pairing on TV at the moment is really strong and really good, and I think the only way to sort of not counter that momentum, but to continue that momentum, is to have them both beat the Terror Twins at Bash in Berlin, because it's going to give more sympathy to both Damien and Rhea, but at the same time it's going to make the crowd and the audience hate Dom and Liv even more, specifically an international crowd like Germany. And as we've seen with the international crowds over the pay-per-views this year, oh sorry, premium live events as they're now called, you know, France was a great example of Backlash, and you know, I think with the Bash in Berlin coming up, I think there will be a significant advancement in that storyline as well, but I guess time will tell. But that has been the end of this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave this video a like and a subscribe, and yeah, I hope to see you with another video very soon. Have a good one, guys. See ya. Bye.